Are we on? Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Um, we were discussing, we started the chapter of Nifas, right? So we mentioned yesterday in our meeting that Nifas is the blood that comes out after childbirth, right? And what is childbirth? We say childbirth is when more than half of the baby comes out. Now you will say since the woman has given birth, so the bleeding that comes after that, that will be considered to be nifas. So until more than half of the baby never come out, we'll say she hasn't given birth as yet because, like I told you, so she isn't experiencing nifas. So hence she is like a pregnant person, she still have to read Salah. The bleeding during pregnancy does not waive Salat out, right? And then we also mentioned that, look, we mentioned this also, that maybe this is, I told you, it's not maybe physical, but it's the abstract thing to consider. Sometimes I told you the thing is proven from the Quran or the Hadith, or it's proven from the Sunnah, etc., or it is proven from the statements of the Fuqaha, all right? But the latter Fuqaha, they try to give it a physical spin. They try to explain an abstract concept to us. So if it doesn't make sense from a medical point of view, do not become too much perturbed to that. Do not become too much perturbed. Because I told you, it's not the explanation is not purely based upon that physical aspect they are explaining. There are the statements, there are the opinions of the early scholars of the Sahaba Ikram, the Tabi'in. They, as per Sahib Hidaayah's habit, he's just trying to give you a rational explanation for an abstract thing. So into that end, he says, look here, if a woman does not experience hayd while she's pregnant, that means when she starts giving birth, now the womb open, now the blood that come after it will be nifas. But anything before that will be istihada, will be not that type bleeding that affects the salah in any way or the other, right? So now, the next thing I told you we were going to discuss here is a very common masla, right? Which many times people are asking this masla. You'll see people ask about a woman, was pregnant and then she miscarried, and after that, what is this bleeding? Will this bleeding be nifas, or it will be hays or anything? So in this small ibarat here, many masail are discussed. Read it, inshallah. So what I'm gonna do here is we're gonna read this. We're gonna give you an explanation from the kitab, inshallah, and we're gonna look at some of the fatwa of our teachers just to add more weight to it, right? Okay, so read it, inshallah. حتى تسير. You got حتى تسير امرأة. Yeah, perfect. It makes sense. That's my kitab. Let me see. Where did it show me? Okay, perfect. Right. So I don't have that here in there. Let me write it in there. حتى تسير المرأة. Right. Okay. حتى تسير المرأة نفساء وتصير أمة ولد به وكذا العدة تنقضي به. So the sixth means the fetus, the one which istabana بعض خلق some of its creation is apparent, right? Right? It is a child. It will be considered a child to such an extent. A woman will become a nufasa, a woman of what's his name? What's his English now? Or not menses, but a woman of postpartum bleeding, and a slave will become a walad, and like that, iddat will finish with it. What do you understand from this ibarat before I start to explain? Tell me what you understand with it. Tell me what do you understand from the text? Yeah, right, right. Okay, perfect, mashallah. So what I'm saying is, when a woman miscarriages, right, and that fetus that comes out, if it has a bit of resemblance to a human being, it's not a mere clot of blood, it has some resemblance, right? Then we will say as though she gave birth to a child. And if we say she's given birth to a child, then there are certain implications. Just check everything is right. She's right. Everything's right. Can you guys hear? Right. Gee, a message came in. Let me just see. Ask them here. Okay. So again, if the the miscarried fetus, right, has a little resemblance to a human being, then we'll say as though this woman gave birth. And if we're going to consider that fetus as a child, it impacts upon a few Messiah. What Messiah impact? Firstly, we'll say that this bleeding here is nifas, it is not hayd, right? And the normal laws of nifas will apply. We will discuss that. Then to understand this, is another Masla here. If a man has a slave girl, right, and she's not married to somebody else, right? He didn't give her permission to marry. If a man has a slave girl, right, and he allows her to marry a third person, that means he gives his right up of having conjugal relationship with her. The fact that he allows her to marry somebody else means he's not interested in her conjugal relationship with her. So she was not married to another person. So from an Islamic point of view, clear from the Quran, وَمَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, you can have intimacy with her, right? So there's another masla when a slave gives birth to the child of the master. She's not freed immediately, but she becomes a Ummul Walad. Ummul Walad means mother of the child of the master. Now you'll do this also. So when a slave is a Ummul Walad, she bears the child of the master. The day the master dies, automatically she becomes free. She's not part of his estate. Right? Are you with me? So if the slave girl aborted, she miscarried, and the fetus had some resemblance to a human being, then we'll say as though she gave birth to a child. And if we say as though she gave birth to a child, that would technically mean now that even if she gets no child from the master after this, the day the master passes away, she is free, she's a walad. Right? Are you with me? Then وَكَذَا الْعِدَّةُ تَنْقَضِي بِهِ. And like that also, the iddat will terminate with it. So a woman, Allah Ta'ala protect, she was pregnant, right? And her husband divorced her. Now the Quran says, her iddat is حَتَّى تَضَعَ حَمْلَهَا. Her iddat is until she gives birth. So if she aborted or she miscarried, maybe not aborted, right? Abort maybe it's like intentional thing that abort means you do it intentionally. So I think that's not the right word. So she miscarried, and after she miscarried, the fetus had some resemblance to a human being. So we'll say as though she gave birth to a dead baby. And because she gave birth, now her iddat is finished. So it's very possible that maybe a woman, remember, iddat of talaq is what? It's three menses, right? if she's not pregnant. But if she's pregnant, what will it be? It will be until she gives birth. So if she miscarried at 2 months, that means her whole iddat can be 2 months, right? So that is now if the fetus resembles a human being. But if the fetus does not resemble human being, then we will evaluate it against the principles we discuss in the Bab of Haiz. What are the principles? The basic principles, right? That this bleeding must be at least 15 days from the last bleeding, as obviously it will be because, I mean, if she was pregnant, the chances of aborting it after like bleeding and within 15 days is not possible. So that will be found. And then the bleeding must be minimum 3 days. So I repeat again, if a woman aborted and the baby does not resemble, or not the baby, or the fetus or the clot of blood or whatever, it does not resemble a human in any way, then if there's a window period of 15 days from her last bleed, and this bleed is 3 days or more, then this will be considered haze. So when a woman miscarries, it could either be haze or it could either be nifas. Depends on the what you call it, on the how far she is into the pregnancy and what type of features um, the aborted fetus have. So that is basically the Masa in a nutshell. But I just want to read one of the fatwa from the Ask Imam website. Remember, Ask Imam was Mufti Ibrahim Desai, marhum, passed away. Was also my ustad, so maybe there's something. Yeah, so let's read. See, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, regarding your query, there are two scenarios. If, listen nicely, right? If a few limbs of the fetus had formed at the time of miscarriage, then the bleeding you are experiencing will be termed as nifas, that is bleeding after childbirth. Now, inshallah, we will do all these laws that we'll do. There aren't much laws. Um, So the question, she was pregnant and miscarried, but was divorced. So obviously, if she was divorced before, if she was divorced while she was pregnant, then I'm asking this question there. If she was divorced before she miscarried while she's pregnant, then her iddat will be, the default ruling will be till she gives birth. And if she miscarriages, right, then it will not be a giving birth. So now she'll have to wait for 3 hays, right? Are you with me? Uh, then if she miscarried, and after she miscarried, she divorced, so that means there's no question of being pregnant. So she'll have to wait till her fast is finished, and then she'll have to wait for 3 periods after that again. If, for example, a woman just miscarried, right? She just miscarried, and now we divorced her. So she was divorced after the miscarriage. She was so obviously the laws of Hadat al Hamla doesn't apply because when he divorced her, she was not pregnant. So there, Iddat will be a bit extra long because she has to first come out of Nifas. And after she finishes her Nifas, she must have another 15 days. Why? Because remember to separate between the fast and so she left. So in your question, what you're asking here, that she was divorced after miscarriage. She'll have to finish any fast. She'll have to finish 15 days, and then she'll have to do another 3 hays, right? And then she'll be out, right? We're coming back to the original thing I was telling you. So if a few lumps of the fetus had formed, so they say there must be some resemblance, like they say, like you can see a finger, you can see the shape of a head, or something like that. You must see something like that, right? So if a few lumps of the fetus had formed at the time of miscarriage, then the bleeding experiences will be termed as nifas, right? Bleeding after childbirth. Hence, salat will not be compulsory upon you in light of that which follows. That means in nifas, your salat is right. The laws below will only right. So the laws below will only apply if it's nifas, where there's some type of resemblance, even a little type of resemblance, right? Uh, Firstly, there's no minimum for nifas. The moment you become clean after that, you have to start salah. So if say hypothetically, just listen to this masla, you gave birth half an hour before the salah time came out, right? And then no blood was coming out, and all, you'll have to bath and read your salah immediately because there's no minimum for the fast, right? And remember, for a salah to become wajib, we done this here, there must just be enough time to make wudu, and in this case to bath and make the takbir tahrima, not even the old salah. There must just be enough time to make the takbir tahrima. So if a woman gives birth like 20 minutes before, then okay, maybe she can't read the namaz because she's weak or whatever, but technically it will become wajib upon her, so she'll have to do the qadha of it. That's what I'm saying, right? So there's no minimum for nifas. However, the maximum period that a woman can remain in the state of nifas is 40 days. Like how you have maximum of haiz, né? You get maximum of nifas. So if she bleeds more, if this if 40 days, the entire will be 40 days, right? But like in haiz, similar to haiz, like when you go over 10 days, you got the habit, you go back to your habit. Here too, if she's it's not the first child, it's the second child, and she got the habit. The previous child, she bled for 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, and now she been over 40 days, then her nifas will be according to habit, right? The woman in the state of nifas must abstain from all of the things she abstains for in a normal menstrual period, right? If this has been your first birth, and if the bleeding stops at or before 40 days, take a ghusl, begin performing salah as normal. During the period of bleeding, salat will not be obligatory upon you. That's clear, right? If the bleeding continues past 40 days, then the 40 days will be regarded as nifas, and the remaining days will be regarded as istihada. I've explained this. After 40 days, you should take a ghusl and begin performing salah, right? If this was not the first time you had given birth, then the following will apply. You will regard the period of nifas to be the same as the previous time. That is, revert to your habit that you like when you've given birth before. This will only be established after the completion of 40 days. So this, the only time you will know that you have to go back to your habit is once you finish the 40 days. Now you'll say, hey, so you've been stopping your salah, so it means you'll have to make qadha technically, right? Now that okay, now if no limbs had formed, it was just a piece of flesh or like a thick clot of blood or whatever. If no limbs is formed, then the bleeding experience will follow the following ruling. If this blood can be considered as haze, menses, then it will be considered as haze. As I told you, when we say considered haze, what do we mean? That it's 3 days or more, and there's a 15 day from the last, right? If it cannot be says haze, then it will be istihada. It will be istihada. It means that I tell you that it's not. It's lesser than 3 days, and within 15 days you don't bleed again. It's normal. This is istihada, right? So a lady who experiences istihada, we done this. It's termed as a mustahada. She will have to perform salat, fasting, and all other obligations of salah. Islam. The blood of istihada does not necessitate ghusl. So there's a difference. With his hayz, when you clean, you make ghusl. With his nifas, when you clean, you must make ghusl. So this will not be right. If it's not hayz, it's just wudu, right? And for every salah, like, yeah, wudu every time it comes out, and if you're ma'zurin, a fresh wudu before every salah time, right? So even the laws pertaining to the wudu of musahara is following up. We done this here. If she bleeds in such a way that she does not find sufficient time to perform wudu and pray a salat in complete purity without blood, okay, we discussed this in detail. We done discussed this several times in detail. So the normal laws of istihada will be applicable there, right? So so there, just to recapitulate it, when a woman miscarriages, there's three possibilities: either nifas, that is, if it has some resemblance to a human being, and if it has no resemblance to a human being, if it follows the profile of Hayes, that is 3 days or more, and the 15 days from the last bleed will be Hayes. If it doesn't fulfill that, then it is istihada. So there you got it. It can be nifas, it can be Hayes, or it can be istihada. Look at that ibarat again. وَسِقْتُ the fetus الذي استبان بعد خلقه, the one which some of its creation is apparent. And I tell you what means. You can see a finger, you can see a hand. It's not just like a flat, plain piece of blood, right? Then waladun, it is a child. So the moment we consider a child, what will happen? حتى تسير المرأة به النفساء. A woman will become a nafisa with it. To become a woman who experiences hayz. وتصير الأمة أم ولد, and the slave girl, she become أم ولد. That means she'll be freed when the husband passes away. وكذا العدة تنقضي بها, and also the iddat will finish with it. Right? We already explained you all of this coming, so we can go quickly. وأقل النفاس لا حد لها. The minimum of nifas, there's no limit to it. I told you, if she bleed for 1 hour, we'll say 1 hour nifas is finished. If she don't even bleed anything, right? Like how we like nowadays the ladies have what they have the cesarean section, so maybe no blood come out. So that means if no blood is coming out, and it's like by the time she give birth, there is about 20 minutes or 15 minutes that she have to make ghusl and takbir tahima, then that salah becomes wajib. Although I told you maybe she's not in the condition to make a salah, but it's a qaza on her, right? So in the significant part, explaining why there is no minimum for nifas. Let me explain it to you first. They say, see, you see a haiz, nah? There is a minimum, like how we discussed several times. It must be at least 3 days. You join 15 days to that to get 3 days. So, so you'll ask yourself, why the nifas is no minimum? We say, look here, a woman when she's not pregnant, she has different type of bleeding. It's istihada, it's this. We don't know what it is. So to differentiate haze from other type of bleeding, we say there must be a minimum of 3 days. You understand what I'm saying? And here in the fast, we don't need that because she's already given birth. So the sign it shows that this nifas is the birth. You understood that point? I'll repeat it. See, a woman experiences different types of bleeding, right? 1 day, 2 days, haze, is nifas, is istihada, is this, is that, is other thing. So what is that criterion? People can is the criterion by which we differentiate uh, haze from nifas. We say that haze must be a minimum 3 days. Today it was necessary. But here in nifas, there's no need to differentiate. We don't need that time to differentiate because we already got a solid factor to differentiate. And what is a solid factor to differentiate? It is childbirth. You understood that? See there. لأن تقدم الولد. So why there's no need for a minimum of nifas? Because the preceding of a child, alamun, alamul khuruji, is already assigned to say that this blood here, it is coming from the womb, because the blood that come from the womb, that is nifas, right? So alamul khuruji min rahim فأغنى عن امتداده, so it makes it independent and imtidadihi, that it must be protected for a long time to show that this is not istihada, it is nifas. So ju'ila ala man alayhi, so the childbirth will be made a sign to show that this bleeding comes from the womb and it is nifas. It is not just like like a breakthrough bleeding that maybe just came from some illness or some cut or some rupture in the reproductive organs or anything. Yeah. So he's saying بخلاف الحيض, contrary to haid, right? Why? Because haid, I told you, a woman can bleed all the time, 1 day, 2 days. So how do we differentiate and how do we say what is haid and what is not haid? So there we have to have a 3 days, and here we don't have to have the 3 days because we got sufficient proof to separate. You understood that? Then وأكثره 40 يوما, maximum is 40 days. There's no way that she will be ma'af of salah more than 40 days. وَالزَّائِدُ عَلَيْهِ إِسْتِحَاضَةٌ. And this more referred to, this is the first child, right? So in the extra over and above, so once 40 days is clean and she's still bleeding, she can't say, no, I'm still bleeding, I can't remember. She have to bath, wash up, and then read the salah, right? وَالزَّائِدُ عَلَيْهِ إِسْتِحَاضَةٌ. Why? Because the hadith Umm Salamata, because the hadith Umm Salma, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وقت للنفساء 40 يوما. He has explained the maximum of the fast to be 40 days, right? وهو حجة على الشافعي, and there's a clear proof against Imam Shafi, which is في اعتبار الستين, which considers 60 days to be the maximum of the fast, right? Then وإن جاوز الدم الأربعين, if I told you for whatever reason, right? If the blood goes more than 40 days, وكانت ولدت قبل ذلك, and she did give birth before this, right? ولها عادة في النفاس, and she has a habit that her last child she bled 20 days, 30 days. But adat means anything lesser than 40 days, right? If she gave birth last time and she also went over 40 days, and yes, she also went over 40 days, so then we'll say her height is 40 days, right? Are you with me? But what this means is in her previous birth, she stopped shy or short of 40 days, right? Right. ولا عادة في النفاس رُدَّتْ إِلَى أَيَّامِ عَادَتِهَا. She will return to days of her habit. لِمَا بَيَّنَّا فِي الْحَيْضِ. Like how we explain in the Hayd, we explain in the Hayd that that time over and above her normal habit, it has two dimensions. One dimension is it's not haze, and one dimension it is haze. So what do we give preference with? We give preference to the fact that it is not haze because it has more, because she got a habit before it shows that her adat is supposed to be 7 days. It has more resemblance with not being haze. So same thing here in this context, we're saying if a woman the last time she gave birth, she bled for 20 days, right? So now she bled for 40 days. So now, if you look at the second 20 days, it's Hu Wajhain. It has two angles. Either it is part of the haze or it is not part of the haze, right? So, but why we say it's not part, why we say it's part of the haze? It could be part of the haze because it's within 40 days, right? And it could not be part of the haze because look here, she's bleeding more than 40 days. So it must be joined to that which is over 40 days. And so I'm saying, so what do we join it with? Do we join it with the haze or do we join it with the bleeding which is over 40 days? So here we say, if you look at it, the resemblance is greater. The resemblance is greater with the fact that it should be joined with that which is not haze, because why? A habit is the criterion to show that no, this is not haze. It is the istihada, because normally she only bleeds for 20 days. So the resemblance with istihada is greater. That is why I will say it is istihada, right? We discuss it. So وَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ لَهَا عَادَةٌ, if she does not have habit, فَابْتِدَاءُ نِفَاسِهَا 40 يوما, then the beginning of a nifas will be 40 days. Why? لأنه أمكن جعلها نفاسا. Well, it is possible to make all 40. She don't have a habit, previous habit, that forces us to reduce it. We can't say, look, how can a whole 40 days be nifas? Because, normally she only bleeds for 20 days. So this extra year is just over and above her nifas. It is istihada. Yes, when she's got a habit of 20 days, when she's got a habit of 30 days, we can say, no, that this year over 20 days or this year over 30 days, it is just istihada because she's some problem here and she's bleeding over habit. So we should join it with the istihada. Are you with me? Okay, I thought we were going to finish this bab today, but there's just one more ibarat that with regards to twins. If a woman gives birth to twins, then when will we consider her nifas from the first child or from the second child? And also, if a woman got twins, when will we say her iddat is over? Is it with the birth of the first child and the second child? So that won't take too much. Then tomorrow, inshallah, alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah Ta'ala, now we finish this chapter all of Haiz and Nifas and Istihada. We'll be doing Babul Anjasi, wa Tathiriha, the different types of najasat, the different types of impurity, and how you have to clean it. Right. There's a question. So bleeding that is 40 days, take ghusl and perform salah and every other ibadat. Yeah. So if you bleed over 40 days, right, then that is istihada. And istihada is could be either you could be a ma'zura or you're not a ma'zura. If you are a ma'zura, that means after 40 days you're bleeding so continuously that you don't even find 6 or 7 minutes to read the salah for a whole salah period. Then you make one wudu for the whole salah time, right? But if you're not a ma'zura, you are discharging over 40 days, but like maybe it's every 30 minutes or every 40 minutes, then you are not a ma'zura. Then every time you wish to, you discharge, you will break. So if you read your Zohar namaz and you discharge, now you need to read a nafal namaz, or you read your Zohar namaz, now you need to read Quran, and you're discharging every 30 minutes, 40 minutes, then you have to make a fresh wudu every time you discharge. But yes, if you played more than 40 days, and yes, also after that 40 days, you don't even find a 6 minutes in between where you can read your salah, the normal also ma'zur, then there also you will then you will have to, what you call it, you just have to make one wudu for the entire salah time, and you can do whatever ibadat you want to, the normal laws of ma'zura. So inshallah, tomorrow, just the masla of twins, inshallah. If a woman got twins, when does the istihada start? When does the nifas start? When does it end? And when does the iddah start? When does it end? That the twins must start tomorrow, inshallah. And then we start the important chapter of cleansing your body before you start your prayer. First, tomorrow, Allah Ta'ala accept. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.